Good morning, everybody. We are really glad to be back. So I'm Toddi Norum. I'm on with Rubina Halwani. I don't think either one of us have been on for maybe a year. So we're really happy to be here. And I think this is the best way in the world to start off our weekend. So Rubina is an inclusive design consultant. She also works with the Utah Department of Health and Human Services, and she's got about 20 years of experience. But today she's going to talk about building vignettes in Vyond, which is a tool I actually haven't used a lot. So I'm excited to see what she has to share with us. So just take it away.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Toddi. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And please put in the chat if you have or haven't used Vyond, if you're familiar with the tool, or if you're not familiar with the tool. I'll just give a quick rundown of it. Vyond is an animation tool that is a pretty easy learning curve for instructional designers to create animated clips. And so I enjoy using it. I think I was exposed to it years ago when it was Go Animate, and then they got taken over. And I've used it off and on, and now I use it at the States. We acquired it here. I asked them to have this as a tool for us on top of Articulate Storyline and Rise, which are other tools that we use for e-learning development. And I enjoy using it. I end up being the go-to person in the office to kind of build out Vyond pieces. And I found the best use of development design for me is to make smaller chunk pieces, perhaps like micro lessons, anything between 0 to about 2 to 250 minutes, 3 minutes max, because you'll be surprised how many slides go into a 2 to 3 minute piece and how many transitions there are and everything else that happens within the animation realm of designing this stuff. So for me, those are the best. And so case uses that I've used for Vyond have been things like teaser videos, explainer videos, introductory pieces to training, small educational pieces, some marketing pieces, but within the realm of marketing programs and services for DHHS, which is the group that I work with. So it is in that realm of instructional design, and they're just kind of some are really fun to look at and comical in nature, depending upon the tone that I'm getting from the folks that I work with and what they're looking for. Or I suggest things. I also consult and suggest things too. I offer them some stuff, design sketches, and then kind of work my way through it to see if they like it, if they don't, and then kind of go from there. And then other pieces, they really do give me autonomy for. So SMEs will come up to me, or program managers will come up to me and say, we're trying to do this. We're trying to teach people about this service. We're trying to tell people about this program or initiative that we're doing or want to do. What do you think is a good way to explain this? And then I go, well, we can do, we can use a gambit of tools here. We can make it PowerPoint. We can make an info sheet, or we can use Vyond Animation and kind of make it a little bit more interactive. Host it up on our website or in any other presentation that you're going to do. You can embed it into your presentation. So I really just kind of teach our folks a little bit about what it is and how to use it, and then usually get some buy-in from there, show them some sketches, and then after that, they're really comfortable with it and they really like it and stuff like that too. So it's been a positive experience and stuff in our office. So let's see here. And Toddi, please keep me informed if there's anything in the chat. I would love to hear, but it's going to be hard for me.
Yep, no questions yet. I was going to say I worked with a group that did a lot of story-based intros for their e-learning using Vyond, and they were awesome. Very engaging, really relatable types of stories that made you understand that we were going to talk about security and why. So there's some cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's been really, really nice and fun. And at my office in the last couple of months, I received an award for the Vyond pieces that I created and for the rest of the other pieces too, kind of just like a everything that I've done so far. They recognize my work in L&D, and so that's been really nice. Cap to what I'm doing, that I'm going in the right direction, which is nice. So let me start sharing some of these pieces, and then I'll talk through some of the decision points. And if you have any granular questions, please ask those, and we'll walk through them. And I would say, an intermediate level user. And then here, let me just start sharing the screen here. I've used it for about off and on 7 years, maybe. And so I've created a lot of different pieces. These are just all the pieces that I have for DHHS. And this first one is just a course bumper introduction that I created for any of the pieces that we do publish live onto our website or into our training materials. This just kind of comes as an intro into those pieces to just introduce our logo. So if we were to just play that real quickly, it's about 10 seconds in length, not too long, designed purposefully so that it doesn't interrupt too much of the training that comes afterwards. And then I hope you guys enjoy the piece. So that's just a really quick overview of what I created. And then in Vyond, I used the characters that they had, placed those in there. They have several different types of characters that you can look at. Let me see if I can get into the development side here. And as an inclusive designer, kind of like self-trained, I am now certified as a DEI consultant. So for DHHS, I very deliberately pick out images, graphics, characters that are going to be more inclusive, to show atypical pieces to include in marginalized groups or underrepresented groups, to show things about accessibility and stuff like that. So there's just some light design touches that I have in all of the pieces that I touch for training. So this particular piece, I put in characters like, here is a girl wearing a hijab that's supposed to represent a Muslim character. Here is a person in a wheelchair to show the elderly, a Black male here, and they're just kind of shaking hands. A little girl here playing with a dog, somebody just exercising, very light things that we have here. And then this is in Utah, so I've got the mountains in the backdrop and a couple of kids here playing and talking to each other. A lot of the things that we do here are for the entire general public, so I wanted to just kind of sprinkle that in and show what that would maybe look like on a random day out and about. And I wanted to keep the tone of the piece very light, kind of friendly. So I picked out music that kind of played with that as well, put that in there. When I put in music pieces, I do lower the volume of it, just because if I were to put it at 100%, it is going to just overshadow everything else that's on the screen. It just ends up being too loud, especially when you have narration on there. For this one, I don't have narration, but some other pieces I do. And it's like too much if it's at a full speed. Otherwise here, the characters that you are able to look at, they've got 3 different types. They've got business-friendly, whiteboard animation, and contemporary pieces. And then you can also build and draw your own characters if you'd like to. That takes a little bit of time. I would say for me to draw a character from scratch takes about maybe 5 to 10 minutes, depending upon if I know exactly what I'm looking for and designing for. It doesn't take way too long. It just takes a little bit of time. And then, so for this one, these are the contemporary pictures. contemporary characters, and I ended up using a lot of casual pieces in my products just because of the nature of the work that I'm doing and showing the general public and what would maybe look like the general public for these pieces. And so that's about it for this one. Here are all the design decisions underneath, like things that are moving on screen. I've got the cloud here moving from the left to from the right to the left in my piece and stuff. And so I'm just using enter effects and motion paths for that, making sure that I'm keeping things straight and in line. It takes a bit of time to play around with it. This little motion piece plus the cloud probably took me about another 5 or 10 minutes to do. Not very long. You put the image that you want in there. You decide how it's going to start and then how it's going to continue on. Which way you're heading for your motion path. You could use a straight line. You can use a corner. You can use a wave, a loop, and kind of play with these and learn about them if you don't know which one you're actually going to use, which is perfectly fine. And then afterwards, you just kind of go with it. And so that's it. Are there any questions before I move on to the next?
I actually have a question. I'm just curious how long it takes to put together like an entire piece like this, because yes, it's so long. But it's always nice to know what it takes to actually go from soup to nuts on this. So I'm just thinking, I can see you're layering, you're animating, you're doing many things all on a line. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get back into this and show that. That's a very good question. So for this piece, for like 10 seconds after I had a design discussion. So the design discussion is going to be about like a half hour in length or maybe an hour in length, depending upon what your project is and what you're doing with it, making sure that you know the scope of the project, that you agree with your program manager on the terms of like the tone. Can you have music? Can you have, what are they looking for? What do you want to build? For this one, I had a lot of autonomy. They're like, we just want a course bumper to introduce all of our courses, and then let's see what you come up with. So I'm like, okay, let's see what Utah looks like. Let's see. So I started just kind of creating things. So that was just kind of from my head. That took about maybe an hour to kind of sketch out basics in my head, in my storyboard, even before I went into the Vyond tool. So I kind of sketched that out. I looked at the different characters. I was like, which kind of character did I want? And then I went with one type just to keep it a seamless look. And then all of these other pieces that were in there, like the sun moving and the clouds moving and everything, all of this stuff goes to about the end, 10 seconds, nothing longer than that. And then for all of a 10-second piece, I created all of this in about one day, but honestly in about 4 hours.
Wow.
So really not that long. And the learning curve for Vyond is very, very, I would say low for me. I think it was fairly easy. And the thing that you have to do with this tool is just really play with it. Go in there, even if you don't know what stuff is, click around, mess it up, put stuff in, delete stuff out. You can always press the undo button here. It's not like Rise. Hint. Anyway, it's not like Rise where you've undone something and you've gotten rid of something and you can't get it back. You can definitely with this tool. So that's I have some angst with Rise.
And that's really short timeline for something with an animation. Just an animatable work on something. Yeah. We do have a couple of questions. So Rachel's saying, going back a little bit, that you mentioned keeping Vyond to 2 to 3 minutes max, and she said she loves that. But then she said, how would you coach ID for trying to use the tool to create full courses or extended complex scenarios? What would you say to them?
What would you coach your IDs who are trying to use the tool to create full courses? Yeah, or complex scenarios, what would you say to them? So this specific topic, just what we're doing is completely about vignettes. So that is a different conversation, but I can definitely touch on that a little bit. I would be using definitely a storyboard, definitely the way you make any other type of film. You're going to sketch out what each slide is going to be like, every slide that you add into your piece, and then what is going to be on screen, what is going to be narration, voiceover, which voice are you using. And for a complete training, I end up not actually using Vyond. If it's a complete training, I use the other tools that we have, and I embed Vyond in. I think for developing an entire training for us, my office, and our work parameters and time, feasibility is an issue for us, that animating an entire training would be too excessive for us. So I have worked on other projects where they did do that, but there were actually several developers that were also in that as well. So you may want to do that as a group with other instructional designers, just so you're not doing nuts. Do it in pieces, and then you can add Vyond slots to each other in the projects as you're sharing. I avoid actually making an entire Vyond animated training for myself.
Yeah, my experience with Vyond was, each section of the training that we worked on would have an intro in Vyond before we would get to it, like a slide series that would go through, the things that needed to be, checked off or learned or quizzed on, that kind of thing. But there was an entire team behind that as well. So there were folks that were just doing the Vyond videos and then exporting them out as the MP4s, and then somebody would pick those up and bring them into storyline. So exactly. I don't know if it helps at all, but I mean, again, the storyboard is key to everything.
Storyboarding is definitely key to everything. You want to have it like probably like minute to minute even of what is going to be said within a minute or 30 seconds, because animated pieces just go a lot quicker. And so you want to have a shot list. And if you don't know what a shot list is, please Google that so that you can figure out the format of how you should list your narration and other pieces like that. For the second part of your question, for the scenarios, again, kind of like what Toddi was saying, I would use perhaps like articulate storyline and create the scenarios in there, but then you can jump back and forth from Vyond, embed a Vyond piece, have the characters do something, say something, whatever it is that you're teaching. Pause it, go to the question in storyline, answer the question in storyline, record your whatever the user is doing, if it's right or wrong, tell them the feedback if it's right or wrong, and then go back to the Vyond piece if you want to at the end to kind of just like piece it together. Now this is what they did, or however you're gonna try to wrap that up and stuff. But I would use smaller pieces for that.
I feel the characters used is like an animated avatar, so someone who's kind of the host to the learning, they'll pop in and say, hey, here's a question for you, in that animated way, because they become identified as that avatar that goes along with that training. So, see it used that way too. It is cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And if anybody else has any ideas, please put those in for Rachel. I'd be happy to have her get some other experiences in here. Lita, I see your question. I'm going to answer that in a little bit. I definitely want to talk about that, so I'll leave some room for that for the AI stuff that just came out with Vyond, and I'll share that with you. Let me show you a couple of other pieces so that you kind of just see like a full display of stuff. So here is another piece that I made as a greeting to new employees that joined our office, and hopefully you like it.
Hello, and welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us at the Office of Substance Use and Mental Health. We're glad you're here.
So this piece is thank you. Here. I think it's just taking a little bit longer just because I'm sharing on
Yeah,
these things here.
good platform.
Yeah. So that piece took about a couple of days to build and design. Most of it was on day one, about 6 hours. The next day I cleaned it up. It's about 13 seconds in length. Again, not very long. You don't want small introductory pieces to be very long and animated in animation. You just don't end up getting the same amount of attention span sometimes from your audience. I know I don't for some things, so I just want to make it nice and tight. Here in the introduction, all of these were templates that were pre-made that were already there in the library. So I used that for this piece, had a quick countdown. And then in here's where I drew the screen. This was actually a template that we did have in here. Just something that looks like a Zoom. And for our office, we are, we're the largest employer in Utah. And when COVID hit, a lot of us were sent home as remote employees, and then the state really liked that, and they kept us in remote positions for most of our admin type of work. And so I'm like, well, the work environment doesn't look like in person anymore. And so I created this welcome to kind of represent what it looks like today, that we're all kind of at home, we're in our computers, and then we're just greeting this new person that would come into our office. We wouldn't necessarily be in the office to actually greet them. We'd probably be on this computer screen. So made it very realistic for this. And then the background here, I put things that are really specific to our office, like this hope, and healing, just on the board using some text and a little bit of a background. So that they can see, a little bit of our value system. Since we're greeting them, everybody here is like nice and bright. I use the characters that are, I believe, business friendly for this piece, and in a casual format for most of them, just because we kind of end up being a little bit more casual, business casual in our space. And then I had them all kind of doing a little bit of movement in here, just kind of greeting people, saying yeah, saying hello. This was a thought process of mine where I'm like, what would people do if they're trying to say hi? How do you say welcome? And how do we have everybody not doing the same thing? So in my mind, I was like, oh, they can just all kind of wave. And I'm like, well, that's just kind of redundant and a little bit, boring at some point. And so I had them kind of doing different things. I observe my coworkers when we are on a Zoom meeting, and I notice what they're all kind of doing, and subtracted the ones that are like typing and doing other things on Zoom that we probably shouldn't be doing. Other than that, I'm looking at the ones that are in there. And sometimes we have a drink in our hands. Sometimes we're just being very, very vocal and things like that, and very happy and cheery for the stuff that we're doing. We try to stay positive because the specific office I work in is in substance use and mental health. So we have some of our programs and initiatives written back here as well. Safe Utah is one program that we have. 988 is a different initiative that we have. And so I kind of put that in the background there. Then I've got our logo in here so that they can see that. It's not something that appears up on our Zoom, but I just put that in there just to be creative and stuff. And then all of the little pieces that I put in, characters and stuff like that, they're all laid out in here if there's anything to add in there and whatnot. And then the voice was really cool because I did use whatever voice that I already had in here, went through all of the selection pieces to figure out the right one for me, trying to get a voice that kind of sounded real, lifelike, kind of similar to my current director, because I drew that character as my director. And so, look through these. You have to just play with them. You have to listen to them. You have to hear them. And then each time you kind of draw a character that is going to speak, you're going to want a different voice on that. So you may just have to listen to it again and see which one kind of fits the most. And then if you can't do this, like my first effort is to find something automated if I can. And then if not, then I just go out and reach out to my coworkers. I'm like, I need to borrow somebody's voice, or I need you to narrate this because I can't supplement it with a different type of audio. But I was able to do this, and it turned out okay. It's very nice. And that's it. If we have any questions about putting this one together, let me know in the chat. Toddi, is there anything?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we had some comments that, with the cat on the chair back. I mean, I was just thinking, where are the kids?
I know. Some of them have those, those screens that aren't really real, but you're like, it looks so beautiful. The kids are right behind.
Kid toys.
Yes, the kids are right behind.
That's funny. So, yeah, and actually, Q was asking if the Powtoons is in the same league. So I don't recall if Powtoons was the original Go animator or not. I just remember it came about at the same time frame. And I want to say like 2015, 2016. I just don't know if they were the same company. So
I don't think they are the same company. I think they are competitors to each other. And I tried using Powtoons. I did work with that when we were a couple of years ago when we put in the proposal to request for Vyond. They did want us to look at different competitors just to see which one to go for.
Yeah, it says they're a different company out of the UK. So yeah, I was never really clear on that. So thank you.
Yeah. I used it. I played with it. I didn't necessarily like it as well, and I wasn't as comfortable with that one. And I ended up just defaulting back to Vyond. I really liked using it. I already knew how to use the tool, and I liked the characters that were in there better than I liked in Powtoon. I want to say, and then correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I want to say Vyond might be a little bit more expensive, although right now I'm not sure which one is. Q, if you know, just go ahead and say. But it's a robust piece, and they're always updating things. And I know about this product a lot better, so I just like using it. So I was like, this is the tool that I want, this is why, and let's just go ahead and approve it and go forward. This one piece here, so these are the two smaller pieces that I've done. This is a longer piece that I did for this. Oh, wait. Actually, let me not do that one. That one is a hot mess, so putting together. This one is a little bit better in terms of me teaching you guys about this. I'll go to that hot mess in a bit, but let me show you something that's actually, let's say, more structured. Anyway, so this is a piece that I created as an introduction to a toolkit that was being designed. So the toolkit isn't actually in here. They were going to present it later, but they just wanted something kind of really cute to introduce it. And then this one definitely has slides laid out and is a little bit more proper in terms of structure.
Hi, I'm Anna. In school, I learned that a kid's health is important to helping us to become big and strong. As we grow, we learn how to take care of ourselves, be a good friend, and deal with big emotions. When we face challenges, it can be hard sometimes to know where to go for help.
Hey, I'm Matthew. As kids and teens, we spend a lot of time in school. Life can get pretty complicated.
We can deal with difficult situations that cause stress, anxiety, sadness, or feelings of isolation. This is why having supportive professionals, such as counselors and social workers in our schools, is very important. They can help us cope with life's ups and downs so we can focus on learning.
I'm glad you've decided to come in. I'm here to help.
Schools are a great environment to address potential behavioral health needs. because children spend a great deal of their formative years in this setting. We can help students with early intervention and provide resources for support.
So I just want to share a little bit about this piece that was being created and designed. And some of this is still in an earlier format, not the final product. I do version things out. I make copies of stuff just because I will have different decision points, or I will have different discussions with SMEs, and then we're going to perhaps want to go one way or the other. So this one deliberately has some of the earlier design decisions in it. One of those things that you may or may not have noticed is the character that's in here, trying to figure out if I should have used this character and or this character. So I presented both, plus I had a different voice on this character and then a different voice on that character to see which one the program managers wanted to go with. So they really liked seeing the differences and then talking about it and then making some choices on that as well. And I just let them decide that. And then they ended up liking this kid a lot better and like the voice a lot better. So this is the one that they selected for the end. There's other things in here too, like the transitions that you kind of have to do in between one scene and the next scene. I end up just adding an extra slide. There's, if you are a Vyond user, you can have different scene transitions to enter in a scene. I just wanted to have a slide just dedicated to that and then have some text in there as well, and then transition from here seamlessly to the next slide. So that was just something that I've learned to add into the way I design things. And here you have a character that is looking on screen. And so this was in an earlier development format to see, hey, so what do I want this presenter to do? There's a lot of lines in here. In this slide, the decision point was to have just the one slide and that person talking for quite a bit of time. The narrative text was long. One of the things that I had to do was to go back to the program managers and say, hey, there's a lot of conversation, like there's a lot of dialogue in this one. Maybe we should break this out into a couple of more slides. And then even I know you guys have created the narration for this piece. Do I have any leeway or agency to change some of the words in it to make it a little bit shorter and succinct, to say the exact same message, but to just make it a little bit more succinct? Very similar that you would do in a training piece also. When they give you stuff and you're putting things into either Storyline or Rise or any of your other training pieces, they give you content and material, and then you kind of just, may have to reformat some things just to make sure they fit on screen or they fit the timeline that you want comfortably. So these were really good discussions for me to have with them, and they trusted my design skills and my decision points. So they let me do both of those things that I needed to do. I was able to transition the scene a little bit more and add more fun into the piece, I guess, and to break apart the language that was in there. So that was a nice thing. In the background of all of this stuff, I did have some music in there as well. And so I lower the volume again for the music in the background so that in the foreground you can hear people talking and stuff. And each one of these slides is decorated differently. I start off with templates if I like the template. If not, I start creating things bespoke, like just basically what the storyboard may be, and then I just start drawing things out. Are there any questions before I do anything?
Yeah, Daphne just asked, is the audio in there? Are you importing the music files from another source?
The music, yeah, that's a very good question. I really like Vyond because it does actually offer music sources in here. So you can add your own audio file. You can add in background music. You can add in sound effects, and then your own uploads if you want to. So audio files are kind of like the narration and stuff like that you would put in, and then any other kind of uploads that you might want to have, like your own music or something like that. Background music, there's a huge selection, and I want to say from where they started to where they have progressed now over time, they really do add in a lot of musical pieces. I love that because otherwise, before this was out and this was available, I would have to use things like bend sound or whatnot, and then attribute it. And I don't have to do any of that attribution here. It's already one and done, embedded in. Again, you've got to play around, listen to different pieces, see if you like it. See if it fits what you're making. Definitely design your slides first, your content first, and then you're going to eventually get to a point where you're going to see the differences in the different music pieces. That's definitely not what I want for this piece. And then you're going to think about what you want and present a couple of different things to your project manager for your project if you need to and stuff. You can duplicate slides and replay the slide with different music. And at the onset of deciding the music piece for mine, that's exactly what I did. I had a couple of different ones and a couple of different slides, and I just repeated the slides. We listened to it together, and then we made a decision actually together. We're like, you know what, that one kind of works. This one fits this one fits. That one really doesn't fit. Let's just try again and stuff. So
a really good value. I mean, I pay for Artlist yearly, and that's like $199 for music and sound effects. So I mean, if you're rolling that in, that actually adds to the value of the product.
It absolutely does, and so I really love that feature of Vyond the best. I haven't really used the sound effects in here and stuff. I probably could. I'd definitely go down the rabbit hole of listening to everything, just because. But if I do need something, I probably would do it. Here's the sound of it. Which is pretty neat. One thing that you can do with Vyond is actually add rows of stuff at the same time. So you can have your music in the background, you can have your speaking in the foreground, and then you can have them going on at the same time. So you could add in a sound effect right here at the same time as you're adding music, and then just go into the settings of whatever you have and figure out what you want for in terms of volume and style and whatnot, and fading in or fading out. Like, do you want your sound just kind of blasting from the get-go, or do you want kind of a fade, kind of like a soft transition in and a soft transition out for those sound pieces and music pieces? The only thing I had something to keep in mind is that this piece is about, I think, 2.5 minutes in length almost. Or actually, no, this one was much longer. Oh yeah, great. About 1:50. Then it just got to a little bit longer just because I put our bumper at the end of it. The music piece that you do select, you want to make sure you have a long length of, and or you're just going to copy it and paste it over again at the end to just repeat. But I tend to like, if it's just a couple of minutes, I try to see if I can find a couple of minutes, because then to splice it to do it again, it's just, you have to make sure you match up the sound from before to the sound after, so it's kind of seamless. Unless you add a transition. If you add a transition, then you kind of don't have to do that. Anyway. But the music pieces that are in here, you'll see all the times that are on here as well too. So I tend to start with those, and then if I really can't find the music that I'm looking for, then I'll start going to maybe a smaller clip and then just seeing what I can duplicate from there and stuff.
Right. Or lower the volume and repeat it, kind of thing too. So lower it and then bring it back up again.
And then you can, it kind of blends it in there and stuff like that. So there's a lot of tips and tricks.
I've used sound effects as like markers too. You know, I mean, like versus an icon that says, "Okay, here's a quiz." I've actually used sound effects to ping, you know, and somebody knows that they've arrived at a quiz. So
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good
you
for being that way.
definitely have that. It really does increase the value of the product that you're able to use these things in there and have all of these features in there. So you're not going to 10 different places, like even the characters that are just available in here. It's just so exhaustive of characters. And I've actually, I ask Vyond, I talk to them quite frequently. I would say maybe more, like frequent to me is like once every 3 or 4 months. But like, as opposed to like never. I do converse with them to say, hey, can I have an image or a graphic that looks like this, that looks like that? I don't see it in the library here. Can you create one? And they actually do get back to me and talk to me about it and stuff like that. It's just an email conversation back and forth. Or for characters also, if I don't see the character that I'm looking for, especially like perhaps a marginalized character, I'll talk to them as well too and be like, hey, I noticed that you don't have this kind of a character. Can you please create this kind of a character? And then they add it into their library. They don't mind doing that and stuff, which is very, very inclusive and nice. And that's the kind of feedback I think you would want from your tool that you're using, that they're listening to you, that they're hearing you out, they're being responsive. They respond back to me in about 24 to 48 hours. Like it really doesn't take that long. And that's really nice for me to kind of do that and stuff, have that in there.
Having your own personal creator.
Yeah, exactly. You have a real person talking to you too. It's not like, you know, it's not going abroad. They haven't outsourced that yet. So any other questions, Toddi, that we have?
Yeah, Q just threw on up there. He says, what are the limitations you found with Vyond? It says, I found that many all-in-ones have something they do really well, and the other add-on elements that are not as strong, or another tool might be better to use in conjunction with it. So do you have experience where you're finding limitations or strong points?
That is a very good question, and I probably do when I'm creating things. That's when you remember where you're like, oh, I can't do this. Why can't I do this? For me, and I'm just looking at one just so I can think about it while I'm looking at it. I think one of the things that I've noticed here is when I'm putting in text. It's a small thing, but it's kind of bothersome to me. Trying to figure out how to fade the background out and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll get the right shape, sometimes I won't. I may have to put something in, and this is just a very small thing, but I don't want the text just kind of on here like that with the background in it. It's just too bright, and there are things that are interruptive. And I know that for accessibility needs and whatnot, it's just too much going on in there. So I like having something that kind of softens up the background so that people can get to the foreground a little bit better and read what they need to on screen. And sometimes I can find the right shape and sometimes I can't. They seem to have this rectangle shape, but if I wanted to have something kind of like a pyramid or a triangle or whatever, I'm just going to have to just play with it myself and stuff because I didn't find it that they had that in there. So they do have like whole shapes that are completely filled in, but not this one that's kind of like transparent. Transparency, I think, is an issue that I found in some of this stuff too, that if I pick something in, I can't really make it transparent as I would like if I need to do that and stuff. Other than that, I'm still learning a lot. And so I think I'm not an expert Vyond developer. I think I'm intermediate. And so I'm learning things. Oh, and then I can transition into that AI piece. So Vyond came out with a new, it's in beta. It's called, this real quick. It's in a beta format called Vyond Go, which is funny because we started with Go Animate. Then we got Vyond, now we have Vyond Go. It's just ridiculous. But let's see, they have it in a beta format, and that's where I think there's a lot of limitations to that one because They're still developing it and whatnot. So it's right in here. If you were to create a video and you're a user, you get access to the Vyond Go. You go there, you create a video, and it's supposed to put in, like, it'll develop the video for you in really, go from script to video in an instant in about, like, I have played around with this. So if we were going to say, hey, we're going to do like a happy birthday piece or something like that. Birthday, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in this topic. I'm not sure exactly what else to say in here, but I'm just going to say this and see what happens. The vibe I'm looking for is, let's say, casual. The format I'm looking for is an announcement. And I had to click around to figure out which one to do, because at first I thought anecdote, and I'm like, nope, not that. Announcement is probably the best one for happy birthday. And then a layout, is it a talking head or a conversation? These are the selections that you have, and this is very, very limited. I'm like, well, which one do I use for happy birthday? I'm not going to go into a biotech facility to say happy. You can, I mean, if you want to. If you're working there, great. If not, then maybe not. So I just get, like, you know, these look different and these look different. And so you kind of play around with the templates that are there. So far they have something like this. So if I go here and just say, hey, there's just somebody greeting for you know, it looks a little bit celebratory. So maybe that's the one that I want to have. Click create. It comes out in probably like a minute or two. We'll just see if there's a little bit of a lag here just because it's on Crowdcast. It doesn't take that long. They create it for you. They put in the script for you. They put in the character for you. They put in the movement for you. They put in the transitions for you. So I have seen this in action.
Hey everyone, it's a special day today. Our very own colleague's name is celebrating their birthday today. Let's all take a moment to wish them a happy birthday and make them feel special today. We can send them a personal message, organize a virtual celebration, or even surprise them with a gift. Remember, small gestures can have a big impact on someone's day. Let's show colleague's name how much we appreciate them as a colleague and friend. Happy birthday, colleague's name. We're lucky to have you on our team, and we hope your day is filled with joy and laughter.
So it's great for an initial template. It is. I mean, it gives you a template to work with, for sure.
Yeah, it gives you the template to work with. It gives you the music. It does a lot of stuff for you. This is definitely going to be a transformational way that we develop videos now in Vyond, and reduce the time that it could take to actually develop pieces. So it's pretty revolutionary. I love it. It's kind of like the ChatGPT that just came out and stuff. And so I really do like the concept of this. There are definite limitations. Like, I still have to go in here and edit stuff out. I'm not going to have like a greeting that's a minute long with saying all of the same stuff. That's a little bit redundant in the script, if you've noticed that. I'm going to take things out. I, may or may not like the coloring or the characters, but the basic template is there, and it actually puts in more thought that than I would have come up with, perhaps. And so this will definitely, or hopefully, cut down design time for a lot of pieces, I would say, to a fraction of the time that I've done now. So if it took me about a couple hours to make a 10-second piece, like that first number that I created, now it maybe just take me minutes.
So a couple of questions I have when I'm thinking about that, because I've played with some of the tools out there. Can you suggest a style? Like, if I could say, hey, I want it in the style of The Simpsons, is that something they give you an option for?
Like character, like
yeah, like a character. And I'm just curious. I know you can do this with some of the other things in ChatGPT, or or you can modify it after it's been created.
Yeah,
picture.
so you can edit it in here. So definitely, so you can definitely edit in here. And then here's the drawback that Hugh was probably talking about. If I want to change the character, you can replace the character with another character. However, when I hit replace, let's just say I want this lady, she's going to come in. She may or may not be the exact same like proportion size that you had from the other character you had. So then you've got to work with that a little bit, make sure she's where she needs to be, but then it doesn't do it throughout. So you're going to have to go through each and every one to replace that person again. And then if you're replacing, let's just say here, this person has an action that they're doing. Here, I'm not sure why I'm not able to it. You have to do the action all over again too. So here are some limitations, and it's in a beta format. So I'm sure Vyond knows about these things. I'm sure they're working on it too. But right now you can go ahead and start having this out. They did so much for you, which is great. They figured out the tone of music to have. They figured out what level to put the music on. They figured out what narration to put in here, what the person should say. You can adjust all of that in there. You can edit what you're going to say in the narration here, change that, replace that into something else that you want to say, and then generate that. It takes about a few seconds to generate some audio there, text to speech. So that's kind of done. It does actually, I think this would, for certain pieces in certain contexts, it would drop development time from a couple of hours to minutes. I think it would be minutes. I have to, play around with it some more, but I think it would be minutes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and Jennifer Clark asked, she says you can't go to the other view and just replace her, like an asset view. Is that, I don't know what she's referring to myself. I'm just doing the things.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. I've got to play with the tool a little bit more and for me to kind of be a little bit more comfortable in figuring that out.
How do you get access to the data? Is that something you get when you're a full member? Are you able to take it down? Okay.
Yeah, it comes with it and stuff like that too. So you do get that. If somebody else knows how to replace the entire person, maybe you put that in.
This says that there's a subscription level that can use the asset view, so then maybe it's a different level.
Yeah, well. That's probably it. Yeah, I'll try that. Thank you for saying that. I will try that, and then you guys let me know if you're able to do it. Go ahead and put that in there. That's a great way to do that. Anyway.
Okay. So Jennifer says
anyway, so that's cool. So I'll do it that way. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? I hope you like the pieces. I'm not that big of a graphics designer. I am the instructional designer first, and I play with graphics. That's my definition of myself.
That's what I say too. I play with graphics, but I really don't do them well.
Yeah, and I focus more on the story and the message that I want to create and design. And the animation, if it's light but it tells a story, that's fine. And it is what it is, and I think I'm able to use it satisfactorily for the projects that I have.
And I don't know if we have like a Slack channel that we could use if people want to work together and learn more. But if we don't, we could create one.
That would be cool for us to have. Yeah. Let's have a Slack channel just for Vyond animation kind of builders or creators and stuff like that.
Share best practices, tips.
Yeah,
we clearly have some pretty smart people in here.
Daphne's like, yes, please. I'm like, I think we do need to do this, so let's go ahead and try. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, this is fun. I've seen the tool before, but you're using it in ways that I haven't done before. So really cool.
Yeah. Vyond also offers. This is just for me to showcase some of the work that I've done and the decision points that I've made, the discussions that I've had with project managers. So kind of like a broad overview of how I put things together. So I hope you enjoyed that. Vyond does offer lots of videos to teach you how to use Vyond. And so I really like those. They also offer training and things like that too. I think I just got an email like a couple of days ago that they're offering some training kind of pay to play training. So you can take that as well to become a adept Vyond user. And so that's not a bad deal. I think it's about, I just saw it very quickly. So I think it's about 400 a person, you know?
Okay.
So you're investing in it, but you're getting out of it too as well too. So I think that's a cool way to do it. When I first started in Vyond, it was just, you know, learn as you go, click around, figure it out, and then start using YouTube to learn the rest and stuff too. So
yeah, definitely. And if by chance can use this kind of stuff. Chris McMillan said that there's a TLC video that they did a few years ago with some Vyond tips and tricks. So I don't know if maybe Louise can help find that and throw it into the channels or something else. So, but I mean, and I'm actually kind of eager to get back into it and thinker again now because it's been a while. So cool stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, Louise has it here. He just put the link. I knew we'd find it really fast.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
Very cool. Excellent.
Cool.
So this is a lot of fun. I love the fact that we can do this stuff on a Friday, and you know, it's like it gives us time to think about the things we can do to improve our craft over the weekend. Not that we could be thinking about work on the weekend, but you know, it's still fun to tinker and learn new things. So I'm really grateful there. Plus, I see a lot of names in here that I know. A lot of people I actually know personally, and some go way back in my history. So
thank you everybody for joining us. I really do appreciate you guys being here. I know I've been out for I think almost a year, and Toddi as well too. So it's good to be back. I'm really happy to be here. If you know it, you know it. So I am really just very glad to be back in with you guys again. So
and I love this format too, where you can come in and talk about what you've done and how you are doing it. I mean, like I think it's really good value for all of us because you know it's that kind of work out loud thing, right? You know, I mean, which I love as well. So I think that's a big part of what this community is we learn from each other. I'll tell you, it's been probably the best investment of my time and resources for the last 6 or 7 years. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
awesome.
So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you. All right, take care, everyone.